Hi, I'm Melissa.
And I'm Jesse.
Welcome to the Reimagine Success Podcast. We're a husband and wife team who want to make a difference and change the way we all view success.
We've had the privilege of interviewing so many amazing, talented, and successful guests. Each one of them experienced success in their own way.
We want to change how society views success by inspiring you to live your best life and celebrate your successes no matter what that looks like, big and small.
Success looks so different for everyone, and we want you to reimagine your success. Welcome to Season 2 of
Reimagine Success. Welcome back to another week of Reimagine Success.
Hey, everybody. Hope you've had an unbelievably successful week. Melissa and I have been busy learning a lot. We've been a part of this group on Patreon that is a podcasters group, and we've been associating with some amazing podcasters and learning all kinds of great stuff to make this the best podcast that we can.
Oh yeah, we want to definitely bring you the latest content, up to date, the best that we can possibly do for you guys. We're a little bit of perfectionists, so we want to make sure that you have the best content out there.
Yeah. And even though we're in season 2, we're still newbies at this. We're learning every week. We're trying to get better at what we do. And, you know, it's our journey, just like we like to highlight everybody else's journeys. This is our journey. So, you know, we're learning, we're growing, we're fighting to be the best that we can be. So I'm glad that you're along for the ride with us.
Yeah. And if you haven't went to our social medias, check out Jesse and my social media pages. I'm starting to do a lot of live videos. I went live last night on Instagram. So definitely keep following us and see what we're up to.
Yeah. And I got a lot of shows coming up and I'll be promoting those. I got a single coming out real soon. And so just be keeping up with all of that. It's really exciting, everything that's going on with us. And more exciting than that is our amazing guest for today.
Yes, so excited.
Today, we are so lucky to have an amazing man named Stephen Crane on the podcast. Stephen Crane's a small business owner in Greenville, South Carolina. He owns and operates a retail franchise that's going into its 9th year. Stephen has been married for 14 years to his high school sweetheart, Dana. Both are Clemson graduates, Dana class 2005, Stephen class 2007. So he snagged him the older gal there. They have 2 young daughters, 10 and 5. Outside of work and family, he has been an improviser for 9 years and recently began expanding into some small roles in the film, TV, and commercial industry. Stephen, welcome.
Welcome, Stephen.
Hey, Melissa. Hey, Jesse. Thanks for having me.
It's so good to have you with us.
So excited to dive in and talk about everything that you've been up to and who you are and just inspire everyone that's listening.
So why don't you go ahead and start by just telling us your story, telling us a little bit about your journey so far that's gotten you to where you are today.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me on again. So great to catch up with you. We come from a similar area, Jesse and I, Walhalla, South Carolina, the metropolis of South Carolina.
I've actually driven a lot through Walhalla, and Jesse has showed me some places you guys did your little whatever at, your stories. He's shared all kinds of stuff with me.
Yeah, I actually got to graduate with your wife, which was cool.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's a great place. Like looking back, growing up, a great place to start out. It's quiet. You know, there's not too much trouble you can get into. I mean, there's always something if you want to find it. Yeah, but it was, a great place. I lived there for the first 20 something years of my life. You know, went to school locally there after high school, and have lived kind of within driving distance of there pretty much our whole time. We've kind of bounced around from North Carolina, then back to South Carolina here in Greenville. But grew up not really knowing what I wanted to get into. It took me a long time to kind of figure things out. My wife, on the other hand, she, I think she knew from the time she was in high school exactly what she wanted to do, and she's still doing it, and it's amazing,
That must be nice.
I know. I've always been jealous of that. I was like, I wish I could have known, exactly what I wanted to do and just focus on that. But also at the same time, it's fun to, go on different adventures and try things out till you figure it out.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's your personality. Some people are prone, to know exactly what they want to do, and that's it, and that's all they want to do. Whereas me, my toes are in a lot of things.
I know. I've had so many different careers, so many.
Same. I mean, on paper, I mean, none of the things really connect for mine that much. I did all the things from, growing up in high school, like working from the time I was young. My dad actually owned a business for a while. So I kind of saw that as a probably 12-year-old and worked a lot of summers and tried things out and figured out a lot of things I didn't want to do. That's a good way to do it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But what led me to, where I am now was a lot of things that I enjoyed, I found, and then a lot of things that maybe I didn't feel so successful at, and also, just not passionate at, some things were more necessity-based jobs that you just have to have. And then as you get a little older, more experience, you learn from those mistakes or, successes and kind of figure out more narrowed paths. So, but yeah, I mean, my story, like I said, I'm married to Dana, my high school sweetheart, which was, something that doesn't happen a lot, I guess, nowadays.
It definitely does
Yeah.
not.
Especially not staying together for as long as you guys are as high school sweethearts. That's commendable.
Yeah, we were very lucky to kind of find each other early on and really grow together. I mean, I was 15, I guess, when we really met, and
wow,
it was a really strong connection, and we took a lot of time before we actually got married. So we were together for many years before we even got engaged. We kind of put that on ourselves to, one of us was going to get done with college, and then once at least one of us was done, that would be a good time if we, were still together, and which we always knew we would be. But
well, I'm going to pause right here because I like what you said a minute ago. And you said that you grew together, and that to me is the essential thing that is missing from most relationships and is a huge killer, is that people will grow as we do as humans. Everybody's constantly growing and changing, but they're not doing it together. And so what happens in a lot of relationships is one person will be growing in one direction while the other person's growing in another direction. And then you get years down the line and you look at each other and you're like, I don't really recognize you anymore.
Right. That can happen. I mean, I've seen it happen.
It's happened to me.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's okay, because a lot of times people aren't who they were, when they first met someone. And if you do grow apart, it's not necessarily the other person's fault, I would say. Is just what happens sometimes. Maybe your goals change, things like that. But luckily we've, I've always just wanted to support her, whatever she did. She's always been one of those service-minded people who, she's in the healthcare industry as an occupational therapist. So, and that's something she wanted to do, like I said, from a young age. And she always supported me on everything I changed to go into, which was very helpful. And we balanced each other out a lot. I mean, we have a lot of things in common, but we also have a lot of, differences in our personalities. But it's never not matched in a good way. So,
do you ever feel like she has the skills that you don't have, and you have the skills that she doesn't have, and you guys, that's how you're collectively working together a lot?
Yeah, we kind of fill in those gaps. For sure.
Jesse and I are like that.
I think that's super helpful, because I am not a planner or an organized person by any means that much. I mean, but she likes to know exactly the plan and stuff. And I'm, sometimes that's really great and we need that. And then sometimes it's be flexible and, and we try to, help each other out with that. So
yeah, you should see her calendar. It is color coded. It's like very specific. And then she's like, you should keep a calendar too. And I've tried it for like a week, and then I slack off and stop. It's not how I roll.
No, I think that's a great way to do it. It's good to have somebody there to help with the parts that we're not so strong. And that's how I actually hire people too. And that was a thing I had to learn as I started working for myself. I would always ask, are you an organized person? Because I would like that, because I'm not, like I said. But if I could get somebody in there that's really good at that, that's very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So you got married, you bounced around to a bunch of different careers, and then you ultimately ended up starting your current career as an entrepreneur. You opened up a small business. So tell us about that process a little bit and what that looked like for you.
Yeah. Have you ever gone on like a trip or just anywhere and saw like a really interesting business and you're like, oh, that's a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't that something, in our area?
Mhm.
And that's really what happened with our store. We would take family vacations, and I ended up seeing this little spot, and it just caught our attention out of the massive amount of places to go check out. There was this like store, it said free samples, beef jerky. And then we were like, oh, we got to check this out. And, we walk in there and it was a really cool experience. And I was like, oh, this is so interesting. And we took some home and I think bought Christmas presents or something, whatever we were doing at the time. And it kind of like left our minds. And, every year we would actually go back for kind of a family fall trip, and we kept seeing it, and there was like another one, and then there was like multiple stores, and I was like, man, this thing is really growing up here.
Wow.
It'd be cool to not have to come here once a year and just have something back home. And that just sparked like an idea of what if we did it, like I'd seen it. And what was interesting, I'd seen other friends kind of change careers to, open their own businesses, whatever it was. And I was like, well, let me just talk to them, and they would just ask questions and see what that process is like and what the, experience has been for them. And everyone I talked to, it was like, they were enlightened by the whole process of working for themselves, or, getting out of a career that wasn't necessarily fulfilling for them.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, well, my current job at that time, I was working for a large software corporation. So it was a really big business, global. And I was like, well, I'm in a cubicle every day making phone calls like constantly. And I was like, and I'm having success at it. I was actually, doing really well. But for some reason I was like, what if I could take, this success I'm having and do it for myself? How much more fulfilling would that be versus, all these executives or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was one of those things I took some time with. I did a lot of research. It took, I don't know, probably almost a year of really from that first initial point to opening it up. And I'm one of those people that does everything kind of under the radar. So almost no one knew I was even looking at this, or up until maybe a couple months before we started really like building it out. So we were that far into it before many people, maybe a handful of people close to us really knew.
Oh, wow.
And my boss had to know, because they were actually offering me like a different position, and safety wise, that would have been a good choice. Otherwise, but I went the other direction, taking a total risk of, a small business that could really fail within, a short amount of time, or it could go, several years. And you just never know with those type of things.
Yeah. And, the bigger the risk, sometimes the bigger the reward.
Right.
So you could have stayed in that safe place and, kept working in that cubicle, and it would have been, just mind numbingly awesome for you.
Exactly.
But, you decided to follow that dream of working for yourself. And that's really cool that you stepped out like that. And, it says a lot about your character and who you want to be and what you want to do in this world.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, working for other people has its definite, benefits, because you do learn from someone else who gives you a different perspective or gives you different skills that you might not have gotten on your own. So I took a lot of those different experiences that I'd learned, and had to use what I knew, and then also just learn on the go of just how to operate everything, because as a small business owner, I mean, you're doing, everything falls on you. You've got to do the scheduling, the hiring, the inventory, especially at the beginning, because I wasn't even sure if I could hire anyone. Like it was such a small business that I was like, I might have to run this full time every day, every day of the week. And that was how it was at first. But then quickly I was like, okay, I can afford to hire, one person to give me some break, So it's just a big learning experience. And it's something that would have taken me years and years and years to learn otherwise, but hopefully I've gained a lot.
Yeah, well, definitely getting out and doing it, I think, is the best lesson that you can ever do. There's a lot of people who go to college and they spend 4, sometimes 6 years in college, and then they come out and they have no clue actually how to do the job when they sit down in front of the desk. And I feel like just the hands-on approach and getting out there. That's why I'm so in love with interns. We have an intern that's about to start with us, and we're so excited.
Yes.
And we can actually share and give her knowledge as she goes into the workplace. So she'll be like a little baby bird, flying off one day. And it'll be so exciting to watch. And over the years with different businesses I've had the pleasure of teaching and growing a couple of interns. And one of my interns actually started her own fashion line. And now she has an amazing, successful business. And it's just so beautiful to see that. So don't ever forget that there are interns out there who really want to learn, and they're just leaving college. And
still in college,
and they need this experience, and you can teach them that at a young age.
Yeah, that's a lot of things I was looking at coming out of college. I actually was looking to go more into like broadcasting or maybe film production or something like that, because that was what I was more interested in at the time. Mm-hmm. For a brief period, I did work for a local news station doing some, floor directing and things like that, and more on the technical side and production side, which was a lot of fun. But one of those things where it's early morning, like get up at 2:30, go and do the morning news, and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that was one of those breaks I took in between some other jobs, because I was like, let me get back to my original thing I kind of wanted to do. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the best paying thing, but I got a lot of cool experience from it, and I actually felt more fulfilled when I do things that are just more in tune to what I feel good about.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Jesse and I are the same way, because like this podcast, every single time I finish, an interview or an episode, I feel so inspired and motivated, and I feel like I can tackle the world. And then I sit at my day job desk and I just lose it all. I'm like, where did it all go? And it just, so, and it's just what we have to do right now, because, but the thing that creates passion, I feel like, especially in creatives, is these creative projects. And the more that we can do creatively, is so much better for our minds. Which, how has started your own business and now you're full-time in your business, how has that dynamically changed your life?
It's definitely an adjustment, because when I first started it, we actually had our first child the year before. So it was still early on into that. So I was having to all of a sudden take on this new challenge of this business that we had, wanted to do, but also we'd had that whole year before, learning how to, become parents, and also being there for my wife and everything, and trying to figure out what that balance was, because there was times where I would, if I was too focused on work, that could negatively affect just the home life, and I would feel like, I've got to correct it. So it's just one of those things where where I had to just learn again, like from those experiences of how do I, take the leap and hire, more people, to help out with that side, so I could be home more. And especially those early years, having child.
Yeah.
It's you want to be there as much as possible, and I could not have done any of it without, you know, my wife. I mean, like I said, having her support and just her being like super mom, where she was, you know, on maternity leave, you know, as long as she could, and that was awesome. We had a lot of time before we started that. But then when I went to work and then she went back to work, she was able to somehow, you know, do it all. And the business, luckily having her, you know, as still having an income and stuff, it didn't put all the pressure on, you know, starting a business.
Right.
If that would have been the only thing we had, the pressure is just amped up to, you know, 1,000.
Yes.
So I wouldn't recommend, I mean, if, you know, if that would not have been something I would have done, I think if we didn't have that agreement that, you know, we could live off of one in our lifestyle, and not depend solely on, you know, this new thing that might not turn a profit for years. You know, you never know with a business.
Right. You have to just start it and see where it goes.
Right.
Now, did you hire someone that came on that helped you with marketing at first, or did you literally just do everything yourself at the very beginning?
Well, the benefit of having a franchise a lot of times is you get a lot of corporate help, because they want all the franchisees to benefit or to do well, because the better they do, the better the, you know, overall.
Yeah.
So they would actually help us a lot. They provided the, you know, the website, and
Oh, nice.
I had a lot of experience with social media at the time, you know, kind of seeing it from its early stages while I was in college develop, and I just kind of kept up with it. And then I learned, you know, the little business aspects they started adding in. So, and I worked for a couple marketing companies before too. So kind of used those experiences, like I said, to kind of overlay it onto my, you know, new business. So it was a lot of learning. Yeah. I talked to some, you know, people over time. There's a lot of cool people I'd met over the years with different companies that were able to give me some help if I ever wanted it. And you got to try things out, advertising, whatever, you know, billboards, you know, we tried everything for those first few years and see what works.
Right.
You know, different things work for different types of businesses.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, marketing is such a huge part in anything that you do, even yourself as an actor, or you have to market yourself. You have to market your product. So it's very, very important, especially when you're first starting.
Yeah. And I'm very bad about like doing that to certain extents, but I'm trying to, you know, get better at it. Like I said, I do a lot of things under the radar, but most people don't even know I'm, you know, when I'm doing improv shows, or I don't like promote it too much, because you never know how the show's going to go. So, but even with acting, there's a lot of people that just don't even know I'm doing that, but it's just one of those things I'm doing kind of, like I said, under the radar, and trying to learn as I go and educate myself, taking, you know, courses too and stuff like that. This year's my big goal is to get a lot of education in that.
Nice. Well, education is the biggest part of growing, and Jesse and I are doing that too, which is why we're doing the podcast class, you know, and we are trying to grow everything that we're doing.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, along with starting a new business and, you know, having a family and, you know, also doing passion stuff on the right, it comes with its challenges for sure. What have been some of your major challenges along the way in your journey up to this point?
Business wise, some of the challenges have been, we had to relocate the business 2 times since we originally opened. One was due to just as a cost saving measure and getting into a better spot with more foot traffic. And it was one of those things where we went in initially to a place that was a little bigger than we wanted. But it was, at the time, looked like it was going to be in the middle of an area that was growing really fast. And then that growth just never happened. Oh. So we did well. Things happened at the beginning, which was not usual for businesses. We kind of started out really well, like our first 2 years, which usually you kind of have to ramp up to that.
Yeah.
But then as things didn't grow, it kind of stagnated some.
Mhm.
So, and our rent increased, things like that. You know, you got to just make business decisions. And the landlord at the time wouldn't help us out. So we, you know, kind of took it elsewhere. And,
Yeah.
and it's worked out really well.
Yeah. Now
move
you're
it.
in the
Yeah.
mall, which if talk about foot traffic, you can't really
Yeah.
ask for
It was
better
one of those
spot than
things
that.
where, again, you know, it sounded like it, you know, was a good spot to go. It actually did save us a lot on the, you know, overhead, and it did improve foot traffic. So it was a win-win. But again, you never 100% know if it's going to work or not until you
Right.
do it. So
Mhm.
once we got in there and kind of got our bearings, it actually was a great move. So
Mhm. Now, how was that transitioning your customers? Like, we're in this location, now we're in this
Mhm.
location, now we're in this new location. Was that a struggle kind of getting to your customers to follow you?
And do you have repeat customers? Do you have like
Yeah.
a good base?
yeah, I mean, at the beginning, everybody's new, and then it just takes a long time to build up that, you know, repeat business, and it slowly inches up percentage wise of how many people are coming back versus how many new people. You always want new people, but you do want to have that comfortable base of people coming
Mhm.
back. In today's world, you can do that even if they're traveling through, because we try to let everyone know, hey, you can order online if you don't live nearby. And then we get repeat customers that just order online from, you know, wherever in the United States they are. So that's a huge help. And you know, we get a decent amount of new people all the time, but then we get people that haven't been to us in maybe 8 years, and they're like, "Oh, I thought you were still over, you know, at this other place." But it's just constantly trying to market, like you said, and get the word out that or where we are. But
Yeah, for sure. Now, what I'm fascinated with is you have started into the world of acting. And can you tell us a little bit about what initially got you interested in acting, and pursuing that, and what your experience has been so far?
sure. About a year before we opened the business, I was working, like I said, for a big company, and I was every once in a while having to do some presentations, things like that. And I just wanted to get more comfortable, you know, being in front of people and kind of losing that nervousness. So I knew some friends that were talking about taking improv classes here, you know, in our city. So I was like, well, let me check that out. The only improv I knew at the time was probably, you know, Whose Line Is It Anyway? That was,
Love that show. Love it.
absolutely. And that was
Yeah.
so funny. You know, I was like, let me check this out. But then it opened up this whole world. I took a couple classes back to back. It opened up this whole world of, you know, this history of improv where, you know, from the Chicago days to the, you know, New York days, and then all these small theaters kind of opening up. And there's this whole method to it, really. Not that you know what you're going to do, but there's like, you know, structure to it for a lot of different ways to play.
Mhm.
And I did those 2 classes, and then I took the time off because we were really getting heavy into opening the business. So I was like, well, let me get this going. Let me focus on this, because again, I couldn't balance everything like
Right.
that.
Right.
So I was like, I'll get back to it, you know, if the time comes and I have more time to do it. So a couple years went by, I think 2 years maybe, and I went back and kind of took the next, you know, the other 2 classes that were required to, you know, kind of finish the core curriculum. And something about it, you know, you got to perform after each class, like, and that was my first time ever getting up on a stage, probably, to do anything creative. And it was a high I got,
Yeah.
you know, from it. Like, I was like, okay, maybe this, you know, could be a fun hobby to do. And once I finished the classes, you know, you audition to be part of the company, and then you get placed on a team, and you start practicing with them, you know, once a week or whatever, and then perform once a month. And that was what I did for many years. So a lot of the people I took those first 2 classes with had already, you know, had a lot more time in there. And then when I rejoined, I met a whole new group of people that I kind of finished with. And the unintended consequences is I have this huge group of, you know,
Nice.
friends and network
Yeah.
of
That's awesome.
really like-minded people in the creative world. and they're people from all walks of life, like I was, different careers, everything from veterinarians to, real estate agents to, professors at colleges. You never know who you're going to meet. And it's just a fun way to get out of the normal, routine of life.
And improv is tough.
Yeah.
I've been to a few improv shows that weren't great. Like it's hard to get up there and not bomb, honestly. And there's a lot of pressure, and especially that you don't know exactly what you're going to be doing, throughout the night. You can't plan. Like for me, if I'm going to play a concert, I've got my set down. I know that I can crush every song. I know which ones are going to hit the best, which ones are, might be just more filler songs, that sort of thing. With improv,
you just never know.
You're walking in blind.
Yeah.
You don't have a clue what you're about to get into. And like I said, I've seen a lot of people tank on stage and just not be funny. So how do you deal with that? Like how have you bombed on stage before?
Oh, so many times. So many times. I feel like that's always that's the thing. But where I found the success comes in those shows, because typically it's not just a one person thing, like like a stand up or something where they have everything prepared and all the pressure's on that one person. You're usually up there with, 4 or 5, maybe 6 or more teammates sometimes. And
work together.
Absolutely. And that's what they teach you early on is the more you support your teammates, you want to make them look good. And if everyone's doing that, making each other look good, that just raises everybody, you know? And it just was one of those things you don't want to go in there and the bad shows. A lot of times you'll see happen where you get someone trying to big rig everybody else or be the standout. You don't want to be that. You want to be the person who's making the other person look good. And that just helps everybody. So it's, I think most improvisers would say, it's hit or miss, like, but the ones that have been doing it longer, the misses are more rare. I mean, you can see a veteran team a lot of times and they'll just nail it almost every time. Somehow.
Well, practice makes perfect.
Exactly. And you can practice even though you don't know what you're going to really be doing, but you do know how to work off of each other and just get comfortable with your partners.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of correlations between that and music. So I've been in a lot of bands, over the course of my life, and some of them you have great chemistry with, some of them you don't. And even the ones that you have great chemistry with, you never know what's going to happen on stage, no matter how much you rehearse. For instance, not terribly long ago, I was with a band and we were playing a show, and we usually have a couple drinks, during the night, and unfortunately that night our lead singer happened to have a little too much and got a little sloppy on stage, and so the rest of us had to kind of rally around and make up for where he was being a little sloppy, and take some parts and clean it up a little bit and just try to overemphasize what we were doing to take the attention off what was going wrong. And I imagine that's a big thing in improv too. Like if somebody is not hitting it, like you're probably going to jump in and like try to do something funny to take whatever the bad attention is off of that person.
Exactly. I mean, that's a really good, I think, comparison. I mean, your band, you've got all these people playing these different parts. And if, like you said, if somebody's not in tune with everyone else, you can definitely tell.
Or even not like drunk, but like if your voice is a little rough because of allergies
exactly.
whatever the case may be, you just have to step up and say, you know what, I've got to do 110% every time I'm on stage because I don't know what the other guys are going to do. And I can't let there be any slack.
Right.
I have got to pick it all up no matter what.
And actually it goes into acting as well, where you have this role, you've been practicing it and you have a partner. And then the day of you are practicing together. Cause most of the time it's thrown in right last minute, the day of filming, you actually get to practice with your acting partner.
Right.
And you have no chemistry with that person. And you are like, I really have to act. Like, I really, really have to act this out. And have you ever been in that situation where you are just with someone and you're trying to pull it out of them? But and how have you handled that situation?
Well, the acting world is really new for me. I've had all this time, like I said, with improv, and it goes back to that. Do you like to be a planner? Do you like to be one who's organized and knows exactly what's going to happen? And it's two different worlds in a way. But yeah, I think with my limited experiences so far with the acting, I'm more nervous with that, even though I know exactly what I have to say. It's more of trying to get into that character and kind of staying in that and using acting from the feeling versus the words, so the very first kind of short film I got to work on last year, it was meeting all the people that day of. We actually had some time. We did some Zoom kind of read throughs at least. So I kind of got to meet everyone in that case a little early, and the directors kind of helped, craft what they had the idea for these characters. So, but again, once the cameras start rolling, that was the first time we really went through it, and you just got to be into it. But no, luckily I was probably the least experienced person there, so they were probably having to pull things out of me. But it was such a good experience. But kind of being around, like, doing some background on some different things, seeing these professionals do it, and just observing while I was there, and just seeing how prepared they were, how much they got into character and just stayed there. Was really eye-opening to see up close. And the improv kind of led into wanting to, what if I kind of not transition totally. I don't want to, stop doing improv, but, add this on, try to learn this new skill set. And I had other friends who are actors who, doing great things. And kind of like the way I saw people with small business, doing it before I did it, I was like, let me talk to them and see their experiences. And I was doing the same thing with, other actors, and I still do that. I love networking and kind of seeing where people came from, what their successes are, what they struggle with, things like that they're trying to improve on. So
I love that. I love that you just said that you go to other people that have been doing it. So pretty much finding mentors. Anything that you want to do in life, the best thing that you can do is find a mentor, hang around those people, and surround yourself with those people, and you will just learn and grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And early on, and I'll kind of going back to my, growing up, I took another thing I did kind of outside the normal sports and things like that. I took Taekwondo for a lot of years when I was young, and through that, I met a lot of people who are actually older than me, but everyone in there was learning discipline. And, at a young age, that was really helpful. And I surrounded myself with those people who were more mature than me and had, starting to get into their careers. And I always tried to surround myself with successful people. And it kind of helped me want to, it motivated me to kind of want to have a similar success. So
yeah. And I've always tried to live my life by the idea that if I'm the smartest or most talented person in the room, then I'm probably in the wrong room.
Yep.
That's me in most rooms. So, oh no, not the smartest, but yeah, definitely not the smartest.
But I like to surround myself with people that are better, smarter, more talented, more successful. Whatever I can glean from other people, I'm going to do it, because I want to grow constantly. My entire life, like, I've always just been a seeker of knowledge, a seeker of, growth and becoming a better, more well-rounded person. And so I'm always trying to find more ways that I can get better at things or expand my knowledge. Melissa and I, we sit around and we watch shows just to expand our knowledge. Like, we don't watch a lot of regular TV.
Right.
We watch documentaries and we watch interviews and, that sort of thing, just because we really just value growth.
him want to learn about the planet and the earth and the universe and everything.
And there's so much, and that's a great one thing that's always stuck with me is, I don't know where it came from, but the saying, the wise man has more questions than answers. So that's my one thing I always do is I don't want to, feel like I know everything. I want to I want it to lead to more questions about things. Like you said, that's, and just always learning, like educating myself at, a late age too, trying to start something like this. I ask myself, is it too late to even really try to do this thing? And that's,
never.
Yeah. And that's one of those things and then you look around and you see people who started things really late in their, or later on in their life, and they didn't find success maybe until they got older. And I think sometimes it just takes the experience leading up to it,
Well, the problem is we live life being told you have to go to college, you have to graduate, you have to get a degree, and then you have to go to work, and you have to know exactly what you want to do by the time you graduate from high school. So that way you can do that. And it's just so unrealistic. I mean, like we've said already, all three of us have changed careers a million times. We've all done different things. We had a guest on the podcast in the first season, Dr. Sarah Druckman. She didn't go to med school till she was in her 30s.
Yeah.
Starting med school.
Yeah.
And the thing is that people don't think about, like, even if you're 45, right? You still have 15 or close to 20 years left in the workforce. That's the entire time you've already been in the workforce. So you can literally do anything you want to do. Like, don't stop because there's some trivial number. Even if you're 60 and you've only got 5 years till retirement, do what you're passionate about. Like, don't just settle for bullcrap jobs that you hate for your entire life. This is 8 hours of your day, at least, at a minimum, 8 hours of your day. Make sure you're enjoying it. Make sure you're doing something that fills you and makes you happy and gives you purpose, because otherwise you are just throwing your life away.
Yep.
Exactly. I mean, I think you nailed it. And seeing people start things later and then finding success is awesome to see, because it gives you hope that, it could work. And I don't necessarily know if I have, long-term goals. I'm just kind of taking things step by step. Anybody that would give me a chance to, help them tell their story, if it's, a director or producer or whatever, that thinks I can, fit with what they're looking for. I may not feel like I fit it, but if they see something that I can't see from my angle, that's what I'm also looking for too, and kind of trusting them that they know what they're talking about. So
yeah. Absolutely.
So what projects are you super excited for that are coming up in the near future? Is there anything that you want to share with us?
Projects that I'm involved with? Like,
yes.
I mean, right now I'm doing a lot of auditioning, and that's been a whole thing that I expected. You hear it all the time. You're just mostly auditioning, and a lot of things you're not going to get. And it's not that you're not good or, don't take it personally. You may just not be the fit that they're looking for. But it's just that constant and being persistent, and being able to take, I guess, rejection in a way. Just don't see it as a personal attack on you. But project wise, I've got a few things I've done that are still, kind of in post production. So excited to see those. I got a short film, like I said, that was I think pretty close to being done. I'm not sure what the date on that will be. I did my first commercial last month or so.
Nice.
Not sure, and again, you could shoot these things and it may not be used. You never know, but
or you just never see it.
You just never see it. Yeah.
So many times where people are like, "Hey, I saw you on TV," and I'm like,
"Exactly.
Where? What channel? Like, can you record it next time?" Like,
and a lot of it that jump started my, kind of wanting to do this was like last summer, after the years we've all been through with the pandemic and stuff, like trying to find things to get out of that space. And I was lucky enough, they were shooting in Charleston, this HBO show, Righteous Gemstones. And I was fortunate enough to have, several opportunities to go down there and just be around it. And it really got me into, like I said, talking to people, seeing, how this worked. And one goal this year was to maybe get an agent, and I was able to sign on with someone in January, and I didn't expect that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That's huge.
Yeah, they've been really, really helpful, and giving me a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have normally gotten on my own. So just trying to, go step by step, like I said, with that. Next week I've got a part in it's a feature film, not a huge budget thing, but it's definitely a group that does really good work, and I'm excited to do that. I don't have a lot of details besides, my days I'm shooting, but it should be fun. It's just another, like I said, experience. I'm going to take everyone I can get and get the most out of it and meet new people, like I said. And that came out of networking last year. So I got a email about, hey, I've got this part, and I think you might, be good if you could just send in a tape for it. And I did, and it worked out. And any small success I can get with this new challenge is a win for me. So
how is it balancing the acting life with your business? Do you find that being away from the business because you're out pursuing your passions is detrimental, or it's fine, you've built a good team? How's that looking?
Yeah, it's always one of those things where you kind of play it by ear. And luckily I have, some people right now that can run things while I'm away. If it's for a certain amount of time, I don't think I could take like a 6-month project or something like that at this point. But I'm also 9 years into this business, and I would say this to, entrepreneurs, even at the beginning when you're thinking about starting it, also go ahead and think about how you're going to maybe end it, or what's your exit strategy. So I'm kind of 9 years into it, and we didn't know if we would go 1 year or, 5 years or, 10 years. We didn't know if we would open up multiple locations, which was also at one point an option, but it never quite panned out to where I felt comfortable doing that. So I just kind of went with that flow of how things were going, and tried not to put, like I said, too much pressure on it. But I'm getting, I think, to that point where it might be where I'm thinking about transitioning to something else. Maybe it's starting my own thing that's not a franchise, where I've still got someone else's kind of vision for it. Maybe I've got my own thing, but one of those times in the business life where I might hand it off to someone else if that's what happens, or, if it's a good time to wrap it up, maybe. We'll see what happens.
I mean, that's exciting though, because you have the opportunity to take your life in whatever direction you want to go. And, you opening up other franchises may have been the best opportunity for you. So then that way you can transition smoothly and easily into something else. And I love the fact that you said everyone always thinks about the startup. How am I going to get this going? And they don't think about the exit strategy, or being able to take a month or two off work just to relax and go on vacation, or anything that you need to. And people just get so ramped up into the business that they forget about the exit part. And I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, it's one of those things that people told me to, go ahead and think about. And I didn't as much at the time. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll, sell it off and, make a profit then or something. But you just, like I said, you can have ideas about it, but don't set it something in stone. Be able to be flexible, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if there's going to be a pandemic that's going to wreck, years of work.
Did that hurt you guys a lot? Because I imagine beef jerky was not necessarily a staple during the pandemic, or maybe it was. Maybe people were sitting around the house actually like, dang, I really wish I had some beef jerky.
It's funny because we did have to shut down just due to where we were, and everything else was shutting down for us. About a month and a half. So it was not as bad as other parts of the country, but some places maybe never shut down. I don't know. But it actually was a thing where I had zero overhead that month, because we had a really nice deal with the landlord that and it was a transition time where I was renewing a lease. So I didn't have a lot, I had more leverage. So
Nice.
That's perfect.
yeah. So some things just work out, with luck. Obviously it's a terrible time. But I wanted to survive, through it and see what happened on the other side of it. We were able to open back up, and again, it was just uncertainty. I just went in by myself for months, and then my employees weren't comfortable with coming back, and I totally understood that. So it was one of those things. It was like the beginning of the business again, where I had to work every day that we would be open. And it was just one of those things that if I wanted to keep it going, I had to do this. And that's what business owners will always do. I think that when no one else can help you, you got to help yourself.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Now, I know you have an amazing partner, Dana, and she seems like you guys are definitely supportive through everything. And I know she has a day job, and then you of course have your business, and then you have acting and improv, and I'm sure you're doing classes and you're training and you're, so all of these facets in your life, how has that affected your relationship? Do you guys sit down at the end of the night and have like your recap, or how does that look in your life to keep your relationship balanced?
Well, yeah, it's like spinning plates. We're one of us can come over here and spin this one to keep them going. And then we alternate. Every like Tuesdays and Thursdays. Like I'm taking the kids to school in those mornings because she has to go to a location that's a little further away, so she has to leave a little earlier. And then on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, she's taking them, and whoever can pick them up. We're always communicating, and that's the key too. Like, always be in touch and as much as we can. And if I've got time, luckily with my job at the business, it's at a point where I've got a lot of flexibility right now. So it's not a 9 to 5 locked in thing at this time. There's been times where it is that or takes up my entire day, but at this point it's more flexible. I can let someone else run it if I'm not needed there. And I can communicate with her. I'm like, hey, well, you keep working if you want, if you've got stuff to do, I'll go get the kids. Don't worry about it. And then there's a lot of times she's, and we catch up at, like you said, at the end of the night. And, and then we've got the kids with their own schedules now. They're getting to that age where they've got, sports
play dates and sports.
Play. Yeah. Just, taking summer camp things coming up, so, and that's my thing too. I want to be able to have enough flexibility to be able to be there for those things as well, because this was the most fun we're having is just watching them, grow and learn these things. And it reminds us of when we were doing it and at that age, and want to try to make it as positive for them as we can and be supportive and help them figure out what they want to do, because I think they're going to be like us, or well, one of them, she's trying all kinds of things out and see what sticks. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you're guiding your kids by actually showing them that you can do multiple things and you can do acting. So as a kid, I was told, you can't act, you can't do this professionally. You have to go get a real job. You have to go to college.
Yes,
that's
as a kid.
Well, as an adult too, I mean,
tell you that all the time.
Yeah. Like you can't do this for real. And I just show them like, hello, I moved to LA and did this full time and paid my bills with the money I made from acting. So how is that not a professional when you're paying your bills with money from acting?
Right.
So,
and you're doing something you really want to do. And that's awesome. That is so cool to hear.
So, you showing your kids, and that's what we want to do with Alexander and Adelina. We want to make sure that they know that they can do whatever they want to. We'll guide them. We'll tell them the real news of what they want to do. But it's so amazing and refreshing that you are guiding them and letting them take their own journey.
Yeah, I really want to see them figure, themselves out. I don't want to push them in a certain direction too much. I like to, expose them to different avenues or different, whether it's a sport or a, creative outlet or something like that. And just kind of seeing what makes them happy. And you can kids, they'll let you know, really quick, like, oh, I really like this, or this is awesome, or they'll keep talking about it. And you're like, okay, well, there's these things. Do you want to do that? And they try it out if they want.
Yeah. And then they like it or they don't like it.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So now what are I know we've talked a little bit about this, maybe going in a different direction. So where do you see your future goals? Like, what is if you could pick your absolute best path in life right now, what would that path be?
Oh my gosh. That is a tough one. Like I said, at this transition time with the business and looking at this new, it's kind of a hobby at this point, but if it could become a career, that would be amazing. I feel like fulfillment wise, that would be awesome. And that's kind of what I'm working on right now. Like the business, I could see it also becoming kind of my side thing if I could get it to that point. But it's nice to have it and have all these years built up to it. But also at the same time, I was 28 when I started it, and I'm almost 38 now. So it's almost like a 10-year. I'm not who I was at 28, when I'm 38,
Right.
But it's one of those things. Like I guess, like you said, personality wise, some people are planners, some not. And I kind of like to keep the door open for whatever. If it's partnering with, a friend or something on a project or like a business idea or something like that, I'm always open to hearing things and seeing what feels good.
All right. So I have an idea for you. You should move to Atlanta, live beside us, buy a house, and then you can just act in everything you want to do in Atlanta.
I know. And Atlanta's got so much going on, and that's
so much.
Being in Greenville's, it's not a far, drive. I've had to come down there a bunch of times, but it's nice to be here in a way. We like, we're close to family and grandparents and stuff for the kids. And it's like I said, a balance. It's really a point where I can be in Charlotte or Charleston or, Atlanta, pretty easily. So,
yeah, we just got to be in a Chris Evans movie, and that was super cool for me. I was literally inches away from Captain America.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I could have slapped his butt as he walked by me.
I said,
I don't recommend
it,
doing
don't
it.
do it.
Yeah.
Don't do
it.
Don't
do it.
But think about how epic that story would have been. I got kicked off of set because I slapped Captain America in the butt.
That would be on your tombstone.
You would not be acting anymore. You would be blacklisted.
Right.
But it was really, and actually that was the first time that we got to work together on set.
Yeah, which was super cool.
Fun. That's so fun.
It was a really cool experience because we got to be a couple. We were couple number 2, so just a little small thing, but it was really cool because we were in the very last scene of this epic, a fight scene, and we got to do it together, and it was a really fun experience.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
And we're like planning all of our stuff together. Like, okay,
we're going to do this,
and I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And then and so
I'm going to grab your hand, and then we're going to run.
Getting your backstories and everything.
Oh yeah, we did. We had our backstory was actually our story, and everyone, the other actors on set, they were like, okay, what's your backstory? Because we always talk about it. And so we were telling them our actual story, like our actual story.
Sure.
And they were like, wow, that's such a cool backstory. And we're like, that's just our life. That's not a backstory.
That's just our life.
It's just
we live this. Yeah.
We live this. This is us.
You're just playing
awesome.
Yourselves. Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's awesome.
And I recommend everybody, if they can, just even doing a background role, just get on a big set, and see these professionals who are passionate about it and how the whole process works. I grew up just a fan of, TV and film, and it was a way to escape, reality. And, but just to see how that thing unfolds is super awesome and really inspiring.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right. So my favorite part of the podcast is we celebrate successes big and small that are recent, something that you just want to throw out there and say, you know what, this has recently happened. We want to celebrate it. Maybe you haven't taken the time to properly celebrate that you've accomplished this, big or small. It doesn't matter what's a success in your life that you would like to publicly celebrate.
Oh man. Oh, that's a hard one. I've been, like I think we talked about most of them. I don't think there's anything.
Like I know getting the agent is probably
Yeah,
That's
I
a
mean,
huge one.
recent one, yeah, and taking my, taking some courses and things like that, and getting, yeah, small successes like that. I would say getting that step has been huge, like a really big step up from where I was doing things before, just on my own.
Mhm.
And I think I've never really properly looked back and say, okay, I've been doing this business now for 9 years.
Yeah,
and
that's a huge
most
success.
most
Mhm.
don't go, when you look at the statistics, anywhere close to that. So I think once you get over a certain hump, you think, it's probably going to work out. There's always something, like I said, that could happen, but I think probably getting close to taking some time to, realize we're almost, like I said, going into close to 10 years. So
Yeah, you need to do a big
I need to
10-year
do
party.
something.
Yes,
Like
a
just
big
beef
10-year
jerky
anniversary
everywhere.
party.
That's right. Yeah.
You can have a beef jerky stick, like running around, like with the little hands.
I'm just going to give it away like Willy Wonka all of a
Yeah.
sudden at the end.
Let us know. We'll be there.
That's awesome. I love
yeah.
it.
Well, that's so great. And we're like incredibly proud of you and everything that you're doing and watching your journey. We went to high school together, but we didn't really connect until really the last couple of years, you and I. And, I guess we reconnected when you saw us at Comic-Con 2 years ago. Melissa was there with Deadly Crimson. You brought your daughter, and it was so freaking cute.
So cute.
She still
Oh.
talks about that. And getting to see you again this year is so awesome, and it's really inspiring. I'm like, you could, if you wanted to do something like this one day, look, there's someone we know that has done it, and that, again, that's, like I said, there's someone we know that did these business. There's this guy I know that, was an actor and kind of helped me kind of get started. And there's someone doing this really cool creative thing, or like Jesse, like if you find yourself that you've got this skill at, music, or I'm like, look at these people doing it and enjoying it. So it's really, like I said, good to be surrounded by successful people who in just so many different areas too. Like you guys have such a cool connection with two different types of skills, but also getting to do things together. That's really fun, and supporting each other. I can see it, just at Comic-Con, you're both there, both
Pitching.
equally excited about, this book and stuff. And that's so fun to see. And I'm like bringing people over. I'm like, you got to check this out. Like, and,
Yes, you
and
are
trying to
awesome.
support others.
Yeah.
That's my big thing too. I like to show other, don't compare yourself to other people and their successes. Just the more you can be happy for them and support them, it's just way more fulfilling than trying to match it or, go past them or something like that.
Well, and it's leading with your heart. Anytime you have gratitude and you're supportive and you really want people to be successful, that's the whole reason we started this podcast. We want everyone to be successful in their own way. We don't want them to keep up with anyone else's journey, and we want everyone to be successful, and we want to help inspire that and motivate that with the guests that we bring on, just as yourself, Stephen. And we want everyone to know that your journey is unique and that you are unique and wonderful and loved. And that's the entire reasoning behind this podcast.
Yeah. And, a big thing for us, like we've had some unbelievable guests on this podcast, way more successful than we have been. But we don't leave those interviews saying, oh man, I wish I could be like them. I wish I had this. I wish I had that. So we did a bonus episode on our Patreon talking about the dangers of wishing. And I'll give a little spoiler for it.
Yep.
So many people wish their lives away and wish they could do this, wish they could do that. Just freaking get out there and do it. If you want to do something,
you have to say, I am.
Stop sitting around and go do it.
Yes.
Like at least try, at least.
And a big thing that I went through was just getting over getting out of your head of the fear of something like potentially failing. Like fear of failure has stopped
Yes.
so many people from trying something.
So many.
Like if our business would have failed, within 2 years or something like that, I would have obviously been, hurt by that. But I would have at the same time been like, well, I gave it a shot. I did my best. And the same with anything I do now. I'm like, do your best. I tell my kids, I'm like, if you mess up, don't dwell on it. Like use that. Mistakes are so helpful. Like
yes,
I've lost 2 jobs over, the time before I even started my own. So going from that to being able to work for myself for 10 years, I never, at that time, it hurt a lot, but I used it. I was motivated to, maybe it's because those things didn't work out. I was meant to do something else. So, and just changing your perspective on that. Don't be afraid. Like, just go for it.
Yeah. And the awesome thing is with anything that you do in life, failure or everything that we do that does not succeed actually helps you grow and helps you get stronger. And speaking of that, where can our listeners find your beef jerky? Where can they order it online? Where can they reach out to you? Where can they see your improv, your acting? Sure. Like, let them know everything about where they can find you.
Okay. I'm terrible at like plugging my business, but I will. You can go to scjerky.com, scjerky.com if you're interested in getting gifts for Father's Day coming up, Mother's Day, whatever you want, birthdays, anything. You can order online. I'll ship it out myself. Usually pack it up myself. So
nice.
Social media wise, I guess whenever I have some type of update, Instagram's kind of the place to go now. And you can just find me. I think if you just search Stephen Crane, I'm there, or S Crane. And what was the other thing? Let's see. Improv. If you're in Greenville, South Carolina, Coffee Underground on Coffee Street, downtown Greenville.
Such a cool place.
Every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, there's shows. You can go see a variety of different ones. And I'm there typically on Thursday nights with a team called Haymaker, which is like a weekly team. So I'm just now getting back into it. I've taken some time off, like the last season of it, kind of getting back to that work-life balance. And when I have time to do it, I try to commit. And if I don't, they're totally understandable. I mean,
that's awesome.
And I recommend anybody who's working a job or thinking about, if you have time, take an improv class, whether you want to perform it or not. Like, it's super helpful. I've seen them do it for, corporate employees and stuff, it's team building, things like that. It's just a good skill to learn to help work as a team. So I would highly recommend anybody doing that at some point.
Very cool. And last question, if you had one piece of advice that you would want to give an aspiring entrepreneur, what would you tell them?
Oh, I would say, like, don't be afraid. Like, if it hits you in your heart, go for it. Like, find a way to do it if you really want to do it. And don't let fear stop you, because a lot of great things can come out of it if you just put your head down, focus on it, and do it for the right reasons. Mine was really just wanting to do a business in general. It was some percentage of, the actual business model, but it was a lot of percentage of just the challenge of wanting to take it on and make it successful and like see how far I could go with it. So just don't be afraid, and talk to other people, before you go into it. Make sure you get as much information as you can about other people's experiences. It's really helpful. Oh yeah. And have a mentor that you can ask questions
I love it. And I love that you have grown this business into what it is, and that now you have a little bit of flexibility to go out and do other passion projects and get out there a little bit.
Follow your heart.
Follow your heart. I love it.
Well, Stephen, this has been amazing. We are so glad that you came on the podcast today, and can't wait to see where you go. And we'll definitely have to follow up with you in the future once your acting career takes off and you're just out there on the big screen all the time.
Well, thanks so much for having me. You guys are so inspiring and really cool. You're doing this, and looking forward to listening to all the new episodes.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks so much.
And thank you for sharing your time with us today. I know you're a busy man.
Anytime.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Till next time.
Bye.
Wow. I am so inspired by Stephen and everything that he's done in 9 years, almost going on 10 years to own a business, especially through COVID, is so inspiring for a lot of people. So drop your fears and go after your dreams.
Yeah. And he said so many great things about just how you should live your life in a way that you're chasing the things that are important to you. You know, don't wait. Don't keep putting it off. Just go for it. You know, the worst thing that'll happen is you fail and you have to start again. You still have a ton more years. Just do it.
And you learned so much experience. You're going to learn so much knowledge with everything that you do in life. And the goal is to learn it all. And then eventually, sometimes it's an eventually thing. Sometimes you get it right away, but the one thing is just don't let that defer you. You know, always grow your ambitions.
Yeah. Don't stop short because you're afraid.
Yeah.
Just keep pushing and see where it takes you, because you never know what'll come from it. Make sure that you also check out our Patreon. We actually had some great post-roll conversation with Stephen, and so we'll probably post some of that on our Patreon as bonus content for you guys. So be sure to check that out. Patreon.com/creativeglobal. We're constantly posting stuff on there that is, you know, a little behind the scenes looks at things, new songs, bonus content, that sort of thing.
Yep. And now that we are getting settled into our new amazing studio space, we'll have a lot more time to give you even more content. So we're so excited that you're following our journey and that you are here listening. And don't forget to always celebrate your successes and send us over your successes that you would like to share with us. We love hearing from you.
Yeah. Email us what your success is, message us on Facebook or Instagram. And we want to read those things on the air. We want to show, you know, that people are celebrating successes with us all the time. So be sure to send that in to us for sure.
And with that, this is a Creative Global Entertainment production. Did you get motivated? Do you feel inspired?
Don't worry about keeping up with the Joneses anymore. And don't forget to celebrate your successes every single day. Thank you for taking this journey with us.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Reimagine Success Pod. Email us at reimaginesuccesspod@gmail.com and let us know what your successes are. Head over to patreon.com/creativeglobal for bonus and behind the scenes content.
New episodes every Thursday at reimaginesuccesspod.com or your favorite podcast streaming platform.
So let's change our mindsets and reimagine success.